Hi everyone, welcome back to Caitlin's Corner. Today I will be planting up the new raised beds that we built just a couple days ago. So let's get started. So we are going to be planting up these beds today with the plants that I purchased the other day when I was at H&H, as well as a few plants that I picked up the last time that I was in the Encinitas Carlsbad area at Widener's Gardens, which is another nursery that I absolutely love to frequent. I'll be using the design that I showed you when we were building these raised beds. So let's get started. So I'm going to start off with the larger plants like my tomato here, the peppers, and the kale. I did end up choosing to switch the Goldfinch and the Rebel Starfighter Prime between each other. So the Rebel Starfighter Prime is going to be going in this bed now, and the Goldfinch is going to be going in the pot. And the reason for this is I might have forgotten that the Goldfinch tomato is actually a dwarf variety that's specially for putting in smaller spaces or containers. So I will be putting that one in the pot, and then this one can go in here and get as big as it wants to.
Let's start off by adding Espoma's organic garden tone into these beds. That way, each of these plants has just what it needs to produce and thrive.
So first, I'm placing a few plants and going to plant the Rebel Starfighter Prime tomato. So my plan here is to peel off a few of the leaves, exposing the stem, and I'm going to plant it deep so that the areas where I pulled off those leaves can actually root and make the plant stronger. I'm also placing it further back towards the back portion of the raised bed, and this way when it grows it can grow back into that space that I've left between the house and the bed and leave me more room in the raised bed in and of itself. I am next planting up the jalapeno pepper, and again I'm placing it towards the back of the bed so that it has plenty of space to grow both backwards and forwards into the bed. Next is the serrano pepper, and I'm doing the exact same thing with that one. And next is the lacinato kale. I'm placing a few of these interspersed in the beds, giving just a bit of room between the peppers, tomatoes, and the kale. That way there's plenty of airflow.
So, the next thing that I'm planting up here are the 6 heads of buttercrunch lettuce. I really like placing lettuces and cabbage at the front of a raised bed. I think it gives a touch of formality to the space. So here I have taken one of the cells out of the 6-pack of my rainbow beets, and I'm separating apart each of the beets to be one singular plant. I then take each singular plant and separate them about an inch or so away from each other in the ground in a row. Now, I do plant these fairly close together because in my experience, they do go through a bit of transplant shock, and very often a number of these will die just from that transplant shock. It's unfortunate that it happens. And so I do the exact same thing with the carrots, separating each out to a singular plant and then planting them about an inch apart from each other. Once I'm done planting up this bed, I'm going to move right on over to the 9-foot by 3-foot bed.
All right, as we get to planting, let's talk each of these varieties. So first, the tomatoes. This is the Atlas tomato. It is a red beefsteak tomato. It is a big, bushy, and productive plant. It says expect modern performance and old-time flavor. So it is an indeterminate. It is a hybrid, as you can see there. And so my plan is to, just like I did in the last bed, plant it really close to the back so that I can utilize that extra bit of space and not have to take up so much of my planting bed here. And then this and the sweet tangerine, I actually plan on putting in some jute across here. And my plan is to espalier these tomatoes on that. I might change my mind, but that's the current thought right now. I also have my Titan tomato cages, so I'm, for the moment, going to be putting those over the top of these. And so then on this side over here is the sweet tangerine. Now this one is a determinate size, but it is a hybrid, so it should get plenty nice and big. It is a smaller tomato than the Atlas, but it's still a really large fruit. It says it's an orange slicer. So, and this one I got recommended to me by the owner of Tomatomania. And so he said this one's a really tasty and productive one for Southern California. So that's why we're trying this one. Just like the last bed, I'm going to do this in sort of a layered row crop style. So our first row here is going to be this cabbage. This is the Savoy Clarissa cabbage. It matures in 78 days. Not only do I like cabbage just for cooking purposes, but I think it is a really beautiful pop of interesting texture in the garden, and these Savoy have such interesting texture on their heads. And so I think that in the beds here, 6 of them across the front are going to look really, really pretty. Then next, I am going to go in with more carrots, and I will probably intersperse carrots and beets together. I don't think I'm going to have quite enough to fill the whole length just with one crop of, one set of carrots or one set of beets. So I think I'm going to intersperse it and see how that looks. And then right behind that will be our candy onions here, which are the best onions by far. You can see here, candy onion. Here is its information. They are the best. So we'll do those. And then I have one sweet red beauty pepper, and that will go in the center of the bed. And then lastly, some more of the lacinato kale. So I'm gonna get to planting all of these.
So now Miko is going to help me plant our little marvel peas, and I'm going to be planting them around the base of this ponytail palm here and have them grow up the trunk. plant 2 cucumber plants here on this trellis, and Miko's going to help me with this as well. Aren't you, bud? Aren't you? Miko loves his gardens. My garden when I lived in Encinitas was his favorite spot to just sit and enjoy the sun and the breeze, and he kind of cared for all of the plants and just, made it safe so that they could continue to thrive and grow. So he's going to do that here too. Aren't you? Oh, that's a good squatch. Yes, that's a good squatch. Yeah. So the last part of the process that I'm going to do today is using this compost and top dressing around each plant with some of this. So this product is new to me. It's called Seacoast Compost. It's out of Oregon. So this is a similar product, from what I understand, to Espoma's Land and Sea Compost. So in this mix, there is crab shells, there's a myriad of different fish species, pink shrimp cell, cow manure, and bedding. And then there's also some red alder bark, and a few different preparations of yarrow and chamomile and nettle, dandelion, and valerian root. All of that broken down into this wonderful compost. I've read so much about this. I can't wait to use this and see how greatly it affects the production of all of these vegetables. I think it is going to be a game changer. So let's get this put on.
So the beds are all planted, our beets and our carrots, and then over in the other bed, the onions as well are looking a little sad. They absolutely will perk up, but I am so happy to have everything in the ground and can't wait to see it flourish and become a beautiful, bountiful harvest. I also got our peas in next to the ponytail palm. And so those will be ready to get growing up and onto it as well. But it's all looking pretty good, and it'll look even better in the coming days. So right now in this pot, just to show you a little bit, I will refresh this pot once everything is done in here. But I have these adorable Can Girl daffodils. I am obsessed with these. They're so cute. They did grow a little short, I think, because of lack of consistent watering. So now that we'll be setting up this whole area, the beds, the pot, our peas here, everything in this area is going to be on drip here pretty soon. I'm going to do that probably in the next couple of days, but that will help for next year with this pot. I plan on just kind of rotating pretty things in and out of it, but for right now, it's got these Can daffodils, and I just love them. And then it already had in it from last year a Supertunia blue vein, trailing blue veined, and I'm getting some buds on it right now, which is really exciting. But it wintered over because it is a temperennial for us here, so it'll start putting on a bunch of growth and grow into a really massive plant. So I will be keeping this in here and then just planting around it with some other things once the dafts are done. But I wanted to show you how sweet these are because they're just so cute. Alrighty, so I have finished planting up the raised beds for today. I got all of the vegetables in. You can see behind me, this is the smaller bed, and then right over here is the larger bed. I do plan on putting the nasturtiums and the sweet peas in the ground, but I am starting those seeds currently and will be planting them up as plants. So what I'm doing to start the sweet peas and the nasturtium is I have put each different variety into a different ramekin with water to soak for about 8 to 12 hours or so. And then once that is done, then I will plant them up in my little seed starting trays and get them sprouted. So then once they're sprouted, I will plant the sweet peas up here on the corners, the outside corners, and have them grow up and over the hoops. And I'll put the nasturtiums in the beds. So I hope you enjoyed these beds coming together and getting planted up with the first set of veggies for the 2025 season. I can't wait for these to fill in and grow up and get ready to harvest off of these yummy goodies and be able to cook with them and just have some yummy, fresh, organic vegetables. Also, I hope this gave you some inspiration for what you can do with your yard for veggie gardening as well. Coming up very soon, I will be planting up the green stalk planter and this section over here by the yuzu with our other tomato, our blackberry, refreshing our raspberry pot, and then planting the 2 grapes that I have in the ground. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye.